and welcome to this masterclass on clinical leadership and systems innovation. This is Dr. Perkins. Before we dive into the operational frameworks of contemporary care, we must understand the historical heartbeat of our practice. True nursing is an empirical, evidence-based science. Its evolution from reactive task shifting into a systematic discipline began with an amazing visionary, Clara Barton, born on Christmas Day in 1821 in North Oxford, Massachusetts. Clarissa Harlow Barton was the youngest of 5 children. She was a painfully timid child, but she grew up listening to her father's vivid military stories. These narratives instilled in her a deep sense of patriotism and an early appreciation for tactical supply logistics. At just 11 years old, her life shifted when her older brother David suffered a catastrophic head injury after falling from the roof of a barn. She spent 2 years managing his medications and organizing his clinical care, which became her first profound trial as a caregiver. To help her overcome her intense shyness, her family encouraged her to enter teaching at age 17. She excelled as an educator, famously refusing to work unless she received the exact same financial compensation as a male teacher, demonstrating an early dedication to structural equity. This specific lifetime baseline of precise logistics, hands-on crisis management, and advocacy directly prepared her for a historic re-engineering of healthcare delivery models. This structural evolution is captured beautifully in our accompanying video presentation, Engineering Relief: How Clara Barton Built the Modern Safety Net, which illustrates how Barton transitioned from localized triage to global systems design. Let us transition right into how her data-driven strategy laid the blueprint for modern nursing science.
When a hurricane or earthquake hits today, we assume a massive, highly coordinated network of relief workers will show up almost immediately. But go back to the mid-19th century, and that organized safety net did not exist. If a town burned down or flooded, those people were entirely on their own. The push to change that reality starts here, with Clara Barton. During the American Civil War, she acted as an independent, self-taught civilian, driving wagons of medical supplies directly to the front lines. Her early approach relied on braving active combat zones to deliver immediate triage. The troops called her the Angel of the Battlefield for her work at places like Gettysburg and Antietam. Her actions were heroic, but the model itself was reactive. Because the system was built for war, the entire relief structure evaporated the moment the treaties were signed. Over in Europe, international leaders were trying to formalize wartime aid. In 1864, 12 nations signed the Geneva Convention and established the International Red Cross to protect the sick and wounded. But that new European treaty had a strict limitation built into its charter. Its mandate and its resources applied strictly to active declared war zones. Even then, the United States government refused to sign it. Politicians at the time feared that joining the Red Cross would act as an entangling alliance and drag America into foreign conflicts. This diagram illustrates the bureaucratic vacuum that created. European soldiers had a protected, closed loop of medical aid. American civilians facing a domestic catastrophe fell into a massive, unprotected void. Barton recognized that innocent civilians had zero structural safety net during peacetime catastrophes. The turning point happened in 1870. Barton traveled to Europe for a medical rest, only to find herself right in the middle of the Franco-Prussian War, working alongside the International Red Cross. She was assigned to the besieged city of Strasbourg. While there, she observed that simply handing out free food and bandages to the locals created a cycle of long-term community dependency. So she designed a new logistical solution. She set up organized sewing circles and paid the local women for the garments they made, allowing the population to generate its own income. She brought this strategy back to the United States. After years of intense lobbying, she finally convinced the government to sign the Geneva Convention and officially established the American Red Cross in 1881. Strasbourg provided a new blueprint for aid. By prioritizing economic independence and local infrastructure, Barton turned emergency relief into a strategy for long-term survival. Knowing the U.S. was not facing an imminent war, Barton made a logistical pivot. She wrote peacetime disasters, fires, floods, and cyclones, directly into the charter of the American Red Cross. Her approach was so practical that by 1884, she convinced the International Red Cross to adopt the American Amendment. This officially expanded the global network's mandate to include peacetime emergencies. The ultimate test for this new methodology came in 1889, when a catastrophic dam failure obliterated the town of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Barton arrived with 50 workers and immediately set up a massive infrastructure. They lived in tents for 5 months, built houses, and established local work committees to ensure the town could recover. During the 1893 Sea Islands hurricane, she took her economic approach even further. When she organized the survivors into sewing circles, she mandated that women be paid at the exact same rate as men. She had engineered a sustainable science of recovery. This new methodology prioritized long-term restoration, providing communities with a reproducible framework to rebuild from the ground up. Because her American methodology was so effective at handling domestic crises, it was eventually exported back across the globe as a new international standard. During the Russian famine of 1892, she led an international peacetime intervention, commanding a complex supply chain to deliver 500 train cars full of cornmeal and flour. A few years later, she navigated intense political scrutiny in the Ottoman Empire to deliver aid directly to communities. She bypassed hesitant foreign governments to ensure supplies reached people based strictly on need. This chart visualizes the long-term impact of her work. Before her efforts, organized peacetime relief was nearly non-existent. Today, the American Red Cross handles more than 70,000 domestic disasters every single year. Clara Barton's legacy is defined by the endurance of her methods. She proved that the ultimate measure of humanitarianism is giving devastated communities the tools to sustain themselves long after the crisis has passed.
This is exactly how Clara Barton established nursing as an empirical science. She did not rely on intuition or simple routine tasks. Instead, she used rigorous data collection to analyze community vulnerabilities and create repeatable protocols for large-scale crisis management. Barton operationalized this empirical philosophy into a unified system of vulnerability mapping and data-driven response. Whether coordinating famine logistics across a 3,000-mile territory in Russia, navigating political barriers in the Ottoman Empire, or coordinating disaster relief efforts in the United States, her protocols relied entirely on empirical tracking and objective need over passive charity. Today, her systematic, data-driven approach allows our public health networks to respond to more than 70,000 domestic crises every year. Clara Barton proved that science leads to the creation of nursing theory. Her work demonstrates that nursing is not a collection of passive tasks, but a rigorous predictive science of system-level advocacy, vulnerability tracking, and structural empowerment. I hope you enjoyed learning about another nursing scientist, Clara Barton. My hope is learning about these phenomenal nurses will help you realize your chosen profession is a science. If you are ready to transition from basic clinical tasks to true evidence-based systems mastery, you need a community engineered for your professional growth. Head over to Clinical Nurse Pro today. Join our network of driven peers, access advanced clinical resources, and build the confidence to lead our healthcare systems into the future. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more information about the science of nursing, subscribe to this channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next masterclass.